Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legacies episode 302, titled Goodbyes Sure Do Suck, which premiered Thursday, January 28, 2021 on the CW. I'm recording roughly 35 minutes after the episode aired because I had to go rewatch the PVR at a specific point because I got called away when it was actually showing and I didn't want to miss anything after that. So after that, it makes some sense clear. But I just want to say right off the bat, I was robbed for this episode. And please stay tuned to figure out why. So huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first and then come and see why I felt robbed by this episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Quick YouTube shout out to Rodriguez. Thank you so much for your return in the comment section below. I'm very interested to see what you have to say for this season's of Legacies, as well as anybody else who wants to chime in their own thoughts and theories as we enjoy each new episode. So yeah, this time though, I am going to try to do the 20-minute clock. I figure especially in these coming weeks, my next 4 weeks are like jam-packed with deadlines, so time is of the essence. So let's start the clock, and let's begin with what happened in 302, which, tidbit-wise, was meant to be episode 218 if it weren't for COVID. So there's that. Episode quote, though, was actually said by Raphael to Landon, though a version of the episode quote of Goodbyes Sure Do Suck did start with hope. I think she said goodbyes suck, and then Raph parroted it back to Landon saying she was right and told him goodbyes sure do suck. So there's that. But timeline-wise, though, here's the thing. So the events of this episode do take place a day after the events of the previous episodes, the 301. But we do get a time marker because apparently from between episode 209 and this episode, it's 3 months. Now, let me just go back to all the other previous videos I've done where I've done the timeline to figure out, okay, what does this mean? Like, does it match or not? Because I really don't know, because when the Christmas episode happened, we were supposed to be in October, because it wasn't meant to be a real Christmas. It was meant to be a premature one. And then I don't know if the Valentine's Day one was meant to match up with Valentine's Day or not. I don't think it was because of what happened with the Christmas episode. But then the whole merger thing happened with Dark Josie, and that was supposed to take place on the twin 17th birthday. And their birthday's supposed to be in March. But then I'm questioning whether or not Dark Josie just moved that up a lot further than it just being like, you know how the merge has to take place on the 22nd birthday? I thought, like, okay, it's not just years she's moving it up, but maybe she's moving up the date as well, and so maybe it's not their actual birthday. But for this, episode 302, between episode 209 and 302, it's supposed to be 3 months because of Chad, and we'll talk about that a little later. But the episode reminder is the fact that Raphael's goodbye, he's gone, hence the title. We'll talk about that later. But the feature creature of the episode, there actually isn't one that pops out of Malivore. I mean, we do get the Necromancer indirectly because it is the deal he made with Alaric that is the result of what Raphael is dealing with right now. Plus, also, we do see the return of the Sphinx, but he is not a threat to the students at the school. So there's not really a creature that they have to, like, research and go up against in this episode. It's all familiar faces when it comes to that part of it. But episode breakdown, it really is all revolving around the fact that they're all trying to find a way to save Raphael. So you got two different portions of that, and I guess the third one is kind of like my C storyline. If you know screenwriting student learning the structures of TV episodes, you got your A, B, and C. A is usually so I could actually do this. A is usually the focus of the episode, so in this case, it's all the students rallying together to save Raphael. B storyline usually deals with relationships, so it's going to focus more on how Raphael chooses to spend his final day. And then the third storyline, which is the C storyline, is usually like long season runners. So this one's going to be dealing with the new plans for Malivore. So first off, I'll talk about the B storyline first, just because it ties in with A. So B being Raphael's final day. So Raphael and Landon just not wanting to be a guinea pig in his final day. So Raphael goes with Landon to go find his dad, Walt, and kind of spend that last day just camping like old times. Well, old times for him and Landon, but a new memory for him and Walt. But there's no sign of Walt. And And then Raph tries to have one last party with the students of the school, kind of reminiscent of his first night when he got to the school. We also have Raphael spending his last meal with Landon over a couple burgers. And then we had the Wolfpack's gift to Raphael being them locating Raph's dad and bringing him to him so that he could spend his last night being with his family, that is his brother in Landon and his father Walt. So there's that. So while all this is happening for Raphael, everybody else is trying to save him, which is in part 2, or the A focus of the episode. So Alaric confronts the necromancer and finds out that Raphael has 1 day left to live, because part of Alaric's deal of having Chad, Alyssa, and Landon, and Raphael not being tied to the necromancer anymore as part of their deal, that also meant that the necromancer's magic that resurrected them was now being pulled away. So now everyone he brought back is now being forced to die once again. We saw that with Chad, who died at the very end of the previous episode, and then his body was found by Caleb and looking like 3-month-old, 3-month dead body, decaying corpse, which is why the timeline between 302 and 209 is 3 months, because that's when Chad actually died. Right? Wait. No, because then didn't Chad die when the necromancer first got his powers, and that was supposedly a year later? Or did it take him a year to get those powers back? Huh. Oh, now I gotta check the timeline. It's probably gonna be correct up on screen right now, but I don't want to wreck my 20-minute timer thing, so that's something to stew about. So there's that. So magical tests are done to confirm what the necromancers already stated was going to happen to Raphael. So the first plan was to get to transfer I don't know what this plan was, but it was to try to transfer Landon's phoenix energy into Raphael to maybe like postpone his death. Some magical device. Lizzie was meant to siphon the phoenix energy from Landon to Raphael, but this didn't work because Landon is not a phoenix anymore. I mean, they're lucky they found out this way as opposed to Landon dying and not coming back to life. You know what I mean? So they found out that way. So they are forced to do another plan. And that was because of the supernova event that's happening in the sky, another celestial event. This gives Hope the idea to create a new prison world for Raphael. With Lizzie's help with the Ascendant, they create a new world for him to live in reliving the same day over and over again. And during the voiceover explains that it's not a prison world for Raphael because he won't be living in this world alone. And it turns out that both of his parents, Walt and Lucia, are going to stay in this prison world with Raphael and just live the same day over and over again and actually be a family for once. So that was something there. And I mentioned Lucia. She was actually found by Alaric, who recruited Sheriff Mack to help him find her as the last resort in case of if Raphael did die. He wanted him to meet his mom, and kind of get that closure. So it turned out that she ended up staying, and they ended up being a family in this other world. So there's that. But before Raphael leaves into the prison world to be with his parents, he gets to say he gets to have a final goodbye with all the students at the school. So there's that. And then moving into this third storyline with Malivore, we get the necromancer wanting to. We find out that the necromancer wants to resurrect Malivore just to make him the necromancer's servant, since he had to be the servant to Malivore for so many years. But Alyssa adds to that and says, "Why don't just put Malivore in servitude to you, but also unleash all the monsters from Malivore into the world, and specifically onto the Salvador school, because she wants them to suffer." So there's that. The last scene of the episode actually shows Necromancer and Alyssa getting confirmation from the Sphinx about her plan will come to pass, and that the student body will suffer, but one student will die. And then the Necromancer seems very pleased by Alyssa's contributions to their little partnership. So there's that. Character-wise, though, we do have, aside from Raphael, final day on Earth kind of a thing. We do find that he has no interest in his connection to King Arthur. Like Landon is completely fascinated by what this could mean. We also, like I mentioned before, Chad's dead body was found by Caleb, and it was said that he's been dead for 3 months. And I do have to look in the fact of, like, if he died present day in 209, or if it, like, how did that flashback work or something, because I know 209 was when we saw the Necromancer again for the first time in season 2, since we saw him in his introduction in season 1. So there's that. We also find out a little bit more about the werewolves and how it's packed instinct for them to leave the sick werewolf alone until that wolf comes back to them in their final moments, kind of a thing. So essentially the werewolves isolate the one who's meant to be alone until that lone wolf comes to them for help, which Alaric is kind of stunned by, because he even asked Jed, is that what you would want if in Raph's place? And Jed can't defy the instinct that he has as a werewolf, and he apologizes for that, but he can't go against it. So he says, he eventually does, because he ends up finding Raph's dad. Also, by the end of it all, surprise, surprise, it seems like Landon broke up with Hope because she didn't accept the fact that he wasn't a Phoenix anymore, or she wasn't showing support that their relationship would continue now that he wasn't indestructible as a Phoenix. He even said that he thinks that their relationship only worked because he was a Phoenix, because he was indestructible. Which, I mean, you can't blame him. I mean, Hope's one of the strongest creatures in this world. And to tie her down to a human, that was... I mean, it kind of sucks for Landon, but then it's kind of like the whole vampire-human relationship thing that we dealt with the Vampire Diaries. It's like, eventually one of them's going to have to turn if they're not creatures in their own right, you know? So there's that. So most shocking moment of the episode. Raph is dead. I, like Hope, thought that they would save him. I thought there would be a loophole. I thought. Because also, if you go check my video when I reacted to the Season 3 promo, I was misled. So I thought we were going to see potentially a lot more Raph, since we didn't get as much as I would want of him in Season 2. I was hoping, okay, Season 3, we're going to get more of him. He's going to get more screen time. We're probably going to see some Raphael and Hope on screen, even though technically it might be Landon and Hope, because Landon would be in Raph's body. I was like, okay, I'm all for this. And then they kill him off in the second episode. Shocked. So there's that. We'll get to that later, and let me guess, or let me know what you guess where we're going to talk about it in. So there's that. But let's go to my favorite moments, my top 3 favorite moments. Okay, first off, I really shouldn't, but Raphael's story, the fact that he got to have his goodbye and get the version of the afterlife in his prison world. Should I even call it a prison world? But you know what kind of world I mean. And the fact that he got both of his parents. And then it was just like, if Raph had to die, I'm happy it was done this way. I'm glad that he got the send-off he wanted. I'm glad that he got to have those moments where he got to give that little bit of a nod to all the people that affected him in his life. And then just the topping of the cake was the fact that he's not just going to be living in this prison world by himself, but he's going to live it with the family he never got to grow up with. And that's got to be so cool. That's got to be a favorite. And also, they showed a lot in that world than I thought we would. Because, any other time we see the afterlife, or a version of what a character's afterlife would be, it's not for that long. It's like very quick. But also, what I really liked about this moment was the fact that Jed defied the packed instinct to stay away from the sickly lone wolf, and instead they defied that instinct of theirs, and I don't know if it was Jed, like he acted alone, or if it was the pack decision, but they located his father so that his father could be with Raph in their final moments before they even found out that Hope had this new plan. So it's just, I definitely teared up especially when it was... I started tearing up when Raph got the first hug with his dad after Jed came in with the gift. I started tearing up. And then it kind of went downhill the moment when Raph was like in the prison world, and then he was surrounded by all these people, and then they were giving him hugs, and then it was just like really heartfelt, and it just like, I didn't want him to die. And then him and Landon, and just like the tie back to Excalibur, it was just like, there was so much they set up, and I wish we got to see it. But then at the same time, it's like, if a character is ever going to get a happy ending in not Supernatural, if he's ever going to get a happy ending in Legacies, Raph got it pretty good. He got it pretty good. And then Landon did say he promises to visit him in the prison world. I hope that's true, but we'll talk about that later. Another favorite I did like was the opening sequence where we see Hope being the Red Knight, protecting what I'm assuming is King Arthur, who is played by Raphael, since that's the ancestor. Just like that, I was kind of hoping that was a flashback, but it turns out to be Landon's retelling. But I love that setup. The setup that Hope was this pretty much this version of Merlin from the looks of it. And I thought that was so cool, and like the setup and the costume for it was just like, I would have loved to have seen more of that, or more of us to actually dive into that origin story. But now we won't, because Raph is dead, and he took Excalibur with him into the prison world. So like, I'm torn for that. And then another favorite I did have was just the Super Squad. Just the fact that Alaric is bringing the Super Squad in for this big task. The fact that Jed's a part of it. The fact that is another plus as well. So I'm really glad we got to see some werewolf representation for that. I guess now we have to, now that Raph is gone. Hope I don't count, because she's in a league all her own. But like, we need someone who's just solely wolf lineage or wolf rep. And then I also like seeing Alaric turning to Caleb a little bit more. I mean, it shows definitely how far they've come since the version of Caleb we got in season 1, and how he dealt with Alaric. So I really like the progress of them. Again, I'm sad that they couldn't find a solution. I mean, they found a temporary one, so they found a way to kind of delay Raph's death. But I really like how they all came together the way that they did. So that's something I really like there. There's also something else that's part of Super Squad that I'm forgetting. Maybe it'll come to me later. But there's that. Moving on to top 3 peeved moments. Have you guessed what it is? First off, Raph is dead. Again, I was misled. Season 3, I thought we were going to get more screen time with Raphael, especially with the idea of him being possessed by Landon. So technically it's Landon on screen, but it's Raphael portraying it. And then we're going to see visually it would be Raphael and Hope, when its context is Landon and Hope. From the season 3 promos, I thought that's what I was going to get. I got no ounce of that whatsoever. So I'm a little pissed off that I was misled into that possibility. Because also, like I said before, I wanted to see more of the friendship between Hope and Raphael. I mean, the fact that I wanted to see them bond over the werewolf aspect. So it's like, I'm a little bummed by that. But also, because Raph is dead, I'm also kind of mad that Josie wasn't there to say goodbye. I mean, in the previous episode, we found out that she was going to leave to spend some time to be with Caroline and kind of find herself again. But then at the same time, it's like, Josie was a good friend of Raphael, and yet she's not here to say goodbye to him. So like, I felt kind of bad, but it's not like she would have known. But also, it's like, it's only been a day. So it's like, how far did she really go? Right? Why couldn't she have just come back and like, so I got the call, I'm back, how can I help, kind of a thing. Like, why not? Instead, she was just not present at all in the episode. But I also just realized I might have skipped over a bunch of stuff. Wow. Okay, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, and another peeve I did have was Landon and Hope breaking up. On the one hand, I get it. But on the other hand, I'm like, I get why Landon would... If they actually did break up, I understand from Landon's perspective, because it's like, Hope wasn't accepting of the fact that now that he's mere mortal, she didn't say, like, oh, we're still good. I mean, she says she still loves him, but she never said that she accepted the fact that he wasn't a Phoenix anymore. And then Landon really honed in on that. So I understand that. But then also, I'm a little, like, I don't really know if it was actual breakup, because Hope kept saying, like, she loves him, but then she never fought him over the idea of, like, him breaking up, because he said he only has one life left. He's going to live it all in to the fullest, and doing that does not match with what Hope has planned. So I really don't know what's going to happen with these two. So there is that. Okay, now the thing that I remembered. So we're going to jump backwards. We're going to go back to tidbits, because I'm very certain I did not talk about this, because I had a question to it. And it's part of characters, and that's Sheriff Mack. So last time we saw Sheriff Mack is 210. She came back in this episode. And this is where Alaric recruits Sheriff Mack's help in order to find the missing person, which is Raphael's biological mom, Lucia. So we also find out in this episode that part of Caleb's compulsion was for her to help Alaric in a life and death situation. So even though she refused initially to help Alaric find this missing person, the moment he revealed that, well, it's kind of life or death, kind of like this compulsive switch happened to her. She's like, okay, who are we looking for, kind of a thing. So that's something there. But also, since that was part of the episode I missed the first time around, I took note of the fact that she did not, and there's the timer, bad keeping time here, but Sheriff Mack didn't actually react to the news of werewolves. When Alaric was talking to Lucia and he mentioned that Raph was a werewolf, she didn't freak out over that news. She just gave Alaric a side eye as if, like, wait, what? But she stayed quiet throughout the whole thing. But Alaric implied later on between the two of them that she won't remember the day they spent together looking for a werewolf mom as part of the compulsion. So that's something there, which I'm going to tie into my random question now, which is, did Caleb's compulsion on Sheriff Mack allow her to remember the supernatural, or just to be helpful to Alaric? Because I think that answer is very key. Because if his compulsion allowed for her to remember all the supernatural stuff she learned already in the previous episode, then it wouldn't matter her reaction to the big info bomb about werewolves and her reaction to it. It wouldn't matter if the compulsion allowed for her to remember, and her reaction to the werewolf news, or lack of a reaction, wouldn't have mattered. If the compulsion only has her helping Alaric and not remember any of the supernatural stuff, then she reacted the way she did, or lack of reaction that she gave at the news of werewolves. The fact that she didn't freak out, I think that is very telling. Because, like, yeah. I mean, that should say for itself. So I feel like I need to know what the parameters of that compulsion truly are, if she still remembers the super... Because if you remember, when Damon first compelled Caroline in season 1, there'd be moments when she's away from Damon, she wouldn't remember the supernatural. She wouldn't remember the vampire secret. She wouldn't remember anything of that. But when she was within Damon's proximity, she would remember, I believe. There's also another character where that happened too, where they wouldn't remember what was happening around them, but the moment that they came back to the person who compelled them, they could remember again. Which character did that? Oh, Camille on the originals. Duh. Okay, so Klaus did that to Camille. So every time that Camille was not around Klaus, she forgot everything that was about the supernatural world. But then whenever she was in Klaus's presence, she remembered everything he had told her about him being a vampire and all the mysticism of New Orleans. I can't believe I forgot that. Okay, so it has happened before. So I'm wondering if that's something that's happening with Sheriff Mack, and if that's something that Caleb implemented, because I think that would be very telling. Because if that's the case, like, she didn't remember, and then she hears about being werewolves, and yet she doesn't react like a regular person would, I think she knows more than we think she does then. Sorry I got sidetracked there. But another question is this the last we'll see of Raphael? Can they, like, resurrect him like we've seen them do with all the dead Michelsons over on the originals? Like, I mean, we've seen all the people who are supposedly on the other side or are supposedly dead, and then they come back in another body, or they come back in their original body, and they're out living their life again. Or we've seen, like, Kai came back from the prison world. I mean, technically, he didn't die before he went into it, so I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I mean, like, why not? I mean, we've seen dead spirits be brought back. So I'm like, is this really the last we see of Raphael? Is that the end of his story? I mean, like, he got a good ending. But, like, at the same time, it's like, I want to see his interactions with the Super Squad, with Hope, with Landon. I want to see more of those. But I could get why it would be the end for him. But it's just, again, I didn't get enough Raph, and I just got him back, and now I lost him. And they just started this Camelot thing, and now I'm not going to see it go any further, because why would you go any further if the actual descendant of King Arthur is not there to actually experience it, you know? So there's that. Last question, still Raph related, but the Sphinx said that a student will die and the rest will suffer. Do you think that excludes Raphael, or if they meant Raphael and are just making us think that it's someone else? Or is it actually going to be someone else that we got to worry about? Because I can't handle if another student dies so soon. I can't. So there's that. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 303, it's the musical episode, which was meant to be episode 219. And guys, well, we'll get to them. The promo shows that the play is going to be about the founding of the Salvatore School. And we have Caleb singing as Damon Salvatore. We got Jed playing Stefan. We got Josie playing Elena, and we have Lizzie playing Caroline. And Landon seems to be the playwright of this production. And also, there are promotional photos already circulating on the internet about the four of them in character as Damon, Stefan, Elena, and Caroline. And I gotta say, I'm kind of excited. I mean, it's like very meta. Like, it's like on the verge of like being meta. But, like, it's kind of funny. It's like, I don't know. I just can't wait to hear the voices again, because they were incredibly talented when we heard it the first time around in season 1. But just, I don't know. Like, we see Caleb, Jed, and Josie dancing together as the original trio of Damon, Stefan, and Elena. And, like, the love triangle from the very beginning. And it's just, like, I'm excited to see it. And I know it's going to... I'm excited. So the synopsis, though, reads that the students prepare to put on a musical about the founding of the Salvatore School at the behest of their mysterious new guidance counselor. Ooh, interesting. Someone's replacing Emma. And then meanwhile, as Landon throws himself into writing the musical, and Lizzie, Josie, Caleb, and Jed dive into their roles, Hope distances herself from the musical. I mean, that's understandable, because the main people that the musical is about, Damon, Stefan, Elena, and Caroline, they were huge antagonists to Hope's family, the Michelsons, the originals, right? So it'd be understandable why she'd be distanced, because these are technically people who wanted her father dead, kind of. Wanted her dead at some point, too. Kind of indirectly, for her specifically. But these are four that conspired many times before to want her father dead. So I can understand why she's distant, but she can also be distant if Landon's writing it and they actually broke up, so that's something there. New guidance counselor, though. I gotta say, in this episode, I was wondering, where are the teachers? Like, Alaric's the only adult at this school that we've met. Dorian left, Emma left. So it's like, who are the other teachers? Like, also, when it was that big room of people from the school saying goodbye to Raphael, I didn't see any adults. So it's like, is Alaric just surrounded by kids or something, or teenagers? Like, where are the adults? So I'll be interested to see who this new guidance counselor is. I hope we meet more teachers too, though, because I need some teachers. I mean, it kind of fits, because at Mystic Falls, we really only saw the history teacher, and that was Alaric. I don't think we saw any of the other teachers. Yeah, you get the point. So there's that. Otherwise, predictions for anything else? Well, apparently, in episode 304, which was meant to be the season 2 finale originally, Ethan is back, who was last seen in 206, which aired November 21st, 2019, so it's been a while. But as we know, Ethan got promoted to series regular, so we were waiting for him to come back. But I am still saying it right now that I think Ethan is an untriggered werewolf, or he's going to be a supernatural creature of some sort, because he has to be at the school somehow. Because I don't see why they'd make him a season regular if he wasn't going to be part of this of this, if he wasn't going to become a Salvatore student, and you become a Salvatore student if you're a magical creature of some sort. So I think he's an untriggered werewolf. Also because the moment that Hope left Mystic Hall High was the last time we saw Ethan, who was a student over there, right? So I'm still thinking he's an untriggered werewolf. But I'm hoping as well, though, if we get Ethan, then we get his sister as well, Maya. But if Landon and Hope are actually gone, like they're done, then maybe Ethan coming back is going to reignite. Because the last time we saw him, he asked her out. Or, right? 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 Well, that was before everyone remembered who she was again. So there's that. But also, the episode after that, 305, is actually the 300th episode in the whole of the 3 shows of the Vampire Diaries Originals and Legacies. So that's going to be fun. That's actually going to be... What would have been interesting, though, is that 305 was actually meant to be the Season 3 premiere before COVID would have hit. So it would have been interesting how they would have planned to set up this season with such a milestone episode. You know what I mean? But otherwise, that is pretty much it, guys. What did you guys think of this episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below all your thoughts, theories, and predictions about that. Were you as upset as I was about Raph's departure? Did you cry too? I mean, I didn't cry as much as some permanent deaths before, but like this definitely threw me for a loop. But let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopsis, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. I am behind. I'm not going to be updating any Season 3 stuff until maybe mid-February, when all my deadlines are like 3/4 of the way done, and I'm in my reading week, and I can actually spare a day to actually just be Tumblr focused and reblog a bunch of stuff. So just be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, you can check all the previous stuff that was reblogged for the show there. Also, same with WordPress, a little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress over there as well. Link is down below. Otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. In the meantime, until we get the next episode, you can always check out my tier ranking videos for the Vampire Diaries and the Originals. I'll put the playlist up on top in the card. I posted those last week. You can check those out as well. Let me know if you want a tier ranking of Legacies. I mean, it's technically only 2 seasons, so I don't really know what aspects I would actually tier rank for that, as I did the seasons beforehand. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting doing those tier rankings, but again, those would have to be during break time from the schoolwork and stuff. But there's that. So otherwise, I'm just going to leave it there, guys. So notification bell to be notified when the next video drops. But until next time, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are. Please stay safe during this pandemic. Please wear the mask when you're going outside, because things are racking up here, and I really want to get back to normal life. And that means you got to wear a mask. Please wear the mask and take all the safety precautions you can. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are. Have a great day. I've said that already, but I'm tired. So take care. Bye.